Hello, and welcome to my capstone presentation. My name is Julia Kenison, and I am a student at the University of San Diego working on my master's degree in education with a STEAM specialty. My action research will focus on student-teacher relationships. Action research, there we go. Well, when you look at your own classroom for problems or concerns, you find research that relates to that concern, interventions that you can implement into your classroom to address that concern. You're going to collect data, analyze that data, go back and look at whether those interventions made a difference in your class. And if they didn't, you're going to start that process all over again. Or if they did and it still needs some tweaking, you're going to start that process all over again. Now let me go back really quick and let you know that I teach third grade at a beautiful elementary school in Lake Elsinore. Our school's strength is that we're a dual immersion program, and I have 25 students in my class, 12 boys, 13 girls. 64% of my class is Hispanic, 24% is white, 8% is African American, and I have 4% that have 2 or more races. Right now, currently, because of COVID, all of our school receives free lunch. Because I am new to the third grade, picking a problem for me was more like choosing one flavor when I had 100 ice cream flavors to choose from. So I had to really think about what my strengths were as a teacher. And one of the strengths that I believe I have is making a connection with students. That love that I have and the research that I did on student-teacher relationships, everything points to connection. Why is this important? It's important this year especially, I feel, we're still in a pandemic. Those kids, our students, have missed a year and a half in the classroom. They're adjusting to being back in the classroom. And in all of this research, there is reiterated in the research is this idea that relationships are the foundation for schools. It's the infrastructure of the school system. And from experience, I know that whether you have a good working relationship with a classroom can make or break your school year. So it's with those reasons, those ideas, that my focus is on the impact that small changes have on the student-teacher relationship and how that affects student behavior. I do have a couple of students this year that have some challenging behaviors, and I'm hoping that by building a strong relationship with them, I can improve their idea about school. Overall, for my entire class, I'd like them to be more engaged, to be willing to participate, and really on the very back end of that is so that they can experience some academic achievement, right? I think that's what it's about. Them building that confidence, them having that foundation to lean into when it's rigorous, when it gets tough, when they get stuck, to know that they have that relationship to rely on. I had to know where my kids were, where my students were. So I gave them the Learning Alliance Inventory, which is a set of 18 questions that measures teacher-student collaboration, teacher competency, and student investment. I really focused on the first 6 questions, which had to do with the collaborative nature of a classroom. The original survey was based on a work alliance inventory. It was modified to work for education. This particular learning alliance inventory was first used in college. I did not adjust any of my questions for my 3rd grade kids, but I did focus on the stats that I pulled up for us are the questions that relate to whether students felt connected to me and whether we had a good working relationship. So 88% of my kids feel like we're pretty connected. About 85% of my students feel that we have a good working relationship. So where could I go from that? Because those are pretty good numbers. Well, in the research, I realized that I already have some really good teaching practices. These are the things that in the research say that classrooms, students, when they surveyed students, they said that their teachers that they felt most connected to were storytellers. They had fun. They liked to celebrate their successes. This is me in a nutshell. The interventions that I wanted to implement, I wanted them to be effective for the whole class, to work with those challenging students, and really increase engagement and participation. Because with more engagement, better participation, we're gonna see academic achievement. So greetings at the door was the first intervention that it's a small change that should have high impact. The use of the 2-minute relationship builder, this was for my focus students, and then behavior specific praise, really kind of an intervention that focused more on what I was doing and how I was treating the students. So I feel like I've covered a wide range of interventions. Greetings at the door. The procedure is that I go gather the kids from recess, morning recess. They gather their supplies. They get ready to come in the door and they make a line, and I wait at the threshold. They choose one of 4 greetings, and they range. Right now I have pat on the back, a thumbs up, a super smile, or a big wave. They select one of those, and we have a brief encounter. That brief encounter allows me the opportunity to say hello to every single student. It allows me to take a read on their mood and to ask if they're okay, to check in with them, to let them know that I'm excited that they're here. And then if I have to go and talk with them later in private because something didn't read right there in that greeting, then I have that opportunity. The 2-minute relationship builder. This, as I said, it was for my focused students. Those couple students that have challenging disruptive behavior. So this procedure is you take those students, you spend 2 minutes a day talking about whatever they want for 10 days in a row. So, and I'll be honest, it wasn't always 2 minutes, but it was me initiating a conversation with them about whatever they wanted to talk about. This has been a game changer. Behavior specific praise. The behavior that I focused on was raising your hand before speaking. Again, this was more a focus on me and not being barking out that command to, no, we don't do it that way, to once they raise their hand, thanking them for raising their hands, giving them the opportunity to share. This, along with pulling their popsicle sticks, has really created an equitable learning environment for the entire class. So strengths and weaknesses. We talked about my strengths. My weaknesses, right now in this current academic year are my lack of experience in third grade. I'm learning the content. I feel like I'm just a couple of weeks ahead of the students. So that is something that I will definitely need to continue to work on. My lack of focus in the beginning of the school year with my capstone, with learning a new grade level, I felt like my focus was all over the place. And then time management and organizational skills. Those are things that I will need to improve upon to be the best teacher that I can for my students. So these are my weaknesses that I will need to work on, continue to work on, for the sake of my students. The results of our implementation or our interventions, were inconclusive, I'll be honest. Especially where the greetings at the door, which I thought was going so well, was watching students greet other students. I feel like we have a more community classroom. However, when I gave him the survey again, the percentages dropped slightly. I'm still in the 80 percentile of feeling connected and cared for. However, it has dropped. So I'm not sure why that is. Maybe they're feeling more confident that they can give an honest answer, but that's what it is. The 2-minute relationship builder. So I focused on 2 students, student A in the blue and student B in the orange. These first 2 columns were their behavior before the 2-minute intervention, and both of them are averaging about 3.5 to 4 incidences per day in the classroom. After the 2 minutes, 10 days, both of them have less disruptive behavior. So this has really been a game changer, not just for those 2 students, but the whole entire class is feeling a little less on edge when we're not having so many disruptions in the classroom. We have more time to focus and participate and learn. So this really has been where I thought it was just for those students. It was really has benefited the entire class. Behavior-specific praise. Again, this was more about me really working hard to give positive feedback rather than just negative attention. So prior to the implementing this intervention, I was probably negatively correcting students' behavior 12 times a day. That since I've implemented the behavior-specific praise, that's dropped. The negative comments have dropped to about 4 times per day. A lot of praise. Just thank you for raising your hand. Thank you for following the rules. Thank you for being on task today. And that's really changed the feel, the vibe of the class as well. What I've learned in these past 14 weeks is that relationships take time. I'm just now starting to see the results of the interventions. I know that I have to step up my game in some areas, but relationships take time and it is worth it. I'm starting to see the change. In 3 or 4 more weeks, I'm sure that I will be able to see even more benefits of taking the time to get to know my students. I want to thank every single one of you for your time, for coming today, for your feedback. It's all greatly appreciated. Thank you.